Let me tell you the one thing that has always stuck in my mind, and it's beautiful that it came to me at this time that it did. Life is so much bigger than we actually view it. I feel like everybody, many people, most of us, I put it that way, most of us have life here. We are not seeing life the way it is, in the big picture that it's in. That's why I love reflecting on life. We're going to give you an onion situation. Peel off layer after layer. Are you ready? Another episode of Reflections with me, Karitas, and I do hope you're well. I hope you have a roof over your head. I hope you're fed. I hope you're in good health. I hope you're not worried about fees or your health. Whatever it is, I pray that you find peace within it. But today was a hard day. Yeah. There are times Kampala can be hard, maybe Ghana, but it's all about kulemerako. You don't just give up. Otherwise, if you just give up, no, you kulemerako. But our city, you people tuve kukavera, ngamba kavera ka shopping, si kali akalala, aka shopping. I can't stress it enough. For you to go to a supermarket to shop and you have gone to buy bread, milk, sugar, usual things, eggs, and they give you 4 bags. The eggs in one bag, the bread in one bag, the milk. What are you trying to do? Our environment is crying, it's screaming out. And that's a conversation that I'm going to take and amplify within time. But today, let's go back to our reflections. I have also been reflecting about the environment, climate change, all that. And these are things that we will be discussing about. Life took a new meaning, and that's why now we're reflecting. How about you reflect with me? Today, actually, before we started this conversation, I was talking to my people who you don't see. They're behind the camera there, very big brains behind there. And I was telling them what I want to reflect upon today. One of my guys just said, thank you for quoting it because I'm using it. He said, me, I don't want to be vulnerable. Immediately, it just took me to the one fact that I need to first of all clarify, and that is the meaning of vulnerability. It is how you understand the word vulnerable. And also, it also depends on the moment within which you're being vulnerable. The reaction you get around you then creates that stigma kind of feeling of, I cannot be vulnerable, especially guys. You know how I'm for boy child? You know how I'm always everything boy child? It's time for boy child to be vulnerable. But first, let me tell you, and I want to read it verbatim. I want to just share what the different explanations are out there, but I'm just taking one. Now, vulnerability, I'm going to read it because I put it down here. It's a bit of a mouthful. Refers to the willingness to expose one's authentic self, including emotions, thoughts, and insecurities. Underline that. To build genuine connections. Now, it involves being open, honest, transparent about one's feelings and challenges. And that's why it is basically letting that down for them to see. Let me say, letting that guard down. I'll call it the guard. You let your guard down and be able to show yourself to the other person. But there are so many things that have to come into play. Let me tell you again, I'm going to go into our industry. Now, you remember when I told you how it's very hard, life is hard in the industry? You guys just see all the glitz and glam. It is very difficult, guys. Very difficult. Because you don't allow us to be vulnerable. I mean, how? Ntionsange, celebrity without makeup. That's being very vulnerable. Now imagine you've got to wear makeup every day throughout because they cannot see what lies beneath. That they can never find you financial, and that's a conversation I want to have. That a celebrity cannot have financial issues. Heck no! I made a financial mistake and I'm paying for it up to now, but you don't know. Humans, just like you. But because of the positions we're in, where we are in society, sounds like I'm posing. But yes, because of the work we do, it puts us in a position where we just cannot be normal. You should be normal, but yet because of the society out there, we are not expected to be normal. Your relationships have got to work. If it breaks down, they broke up. Or maybe if you're broke and you're having real financial issues, how can that celeb not You have allowed yourself, and because of all those expectations, societal expectations, it means that we guys have to bottle everything inside. Do you know what it means? It's a lonely place. I kid you not. It's a lonely place, a place where you're not able to be vulnerable in your entire life, that you can never be vulnerable. You can't, even as a person in the media. Let me give you an example. In 2006, yes, I decided not to date anymore in this country. I said, you know what? And there was nothing about Ugandans and everything. No. It was just the position that I was in, whereby you have to let someone in. And it was beyond just letting someone into your space. It is being able, because if you're in a relationship, you have to showcase everything to that loved one. Now, it got to a point where I felt like, Apana, I've got to protect this. I cannot let the other person in because I don't want them to put me in a position where I have to show myself to them. What will they think? What will they think when they see the scar on my bottom? Okay, I don't have one. I'm just giving an example. But yes, what will they see? What will they say when they find out that, you know, I've got financial problems? So you've got to keep it hidden. You've got to keep it behind there. So I decided, no, I'm not going to go and give myself to somebody. I'm not going to show myself to somebody. And I stayed away from the dating scene for a while. Also, the fact that I just didn't want to keep on explaining myself, putting that person into that position whereby I have to explain, you know what they wrote is wrong? Do you know what those people said is wrong? But that picture, you saw me talking to that guy here. He was talking to me, he wasn't pecking me. Can we zoom in and you see, yo, man, it's too much work for me. It was too much work. But then I realized at some point, I have to let my guard down. However, there are certain things that have to come into play before you do that. You just can't be letting your guard down for everybody. You can't be vulnerable around everybody. It has to be the most safe place, safe moment before you can be vulnerable. And like I told you, vulnerability is not a weakness. It's actually a sign of strength, super strength, because it is not easily done. So if you are thinking being vulnerable is a sign of weakness, Apana, just rethink it, because it is not something everybody can do. So you've got to just toughen up and say, okay, look, this is me. Especially to your partner. If you're in a relationship where you actually want that relationship means that much to you. How can you be there and you're not vulnerable? I have a friend, before I even take my sip here, I have a friend, and this friend used to tell us, but you guys, you know what? I cannot have sex with the lights on. I'm like, but hold on. This is your partner. How can you say that? He said, no, I can't. I've got to cover up. I've got to put the lights off. And I'm like, do you intend to be with this person for long? Or is this just kubatis and you move on? Because if it is someone that you want to do life with, like, you've got to be vulnerable at one point. Put the lights on, put the flight lights on, and let's love each other. Let's continue talking and reflecting on vulnerability. Okay, see, here is a hard fact that I just want to point this out, and I can't stress it anymore, is that we, all of us, have to be vulnerable at one point or another in our lives. Because in whatever relationships that you're forming, you have to be vulnerable to attain the 100% from that relationship. And I'm going to break it down very simply and just show you how. You know, you first of all, it's, again, I go back to life, and you having this life, like, just think about it. You know, it may sound really cliche, but just think about it, that you're on this planet for what? There is a purpose, right? God didn't put you here for nothing. This is a real reality check. So if God put you here on this planet for a reason, what is that reason? You're going to go ahead and find it. That's a conversation we're going to have, I think, either next week or 2 weeks. After you're discovering that one, then there is that part of actually, how do I attain that highest part? How do I get to that goal? How? Being vulnerable is everybody's cup of tea. But like I said, it's a risk that you have to take, because it means you're entrusting the other person that you're opening up to. However, like I said before, I'm going to stress it further. It has got to be a safe place. Because if it's not a safe place, then it will turn what would have been positive energy into negative energy. Because then it depends, if you're not in a safe place, it means then that the people that you are being vulnerable to may misuse it, may create a very negative environment for you to actually feel heard or accepted or received. Now, I want to first of all go to relationships, because I mean your platonic ones, yeah? Just because I want to stress what it means in there. Now, if we're talking about, let me just brush on this one and let that one go. If we're talking about in our families, in our homes, your parents, your siblings, the type of vulnerability that needs to be let out there or shown in that type of setting is different. I mean, you have in mind, you have yourself saying, these are my siblings, what could go wrong? But there are certain things you hold back on. There are certain things like, say, habits. There are vices, maybe. There are things that you do. Maybe it's like a habit that you have, maybe a kazale on the side, you know, but your siblings don't know, your family doesn't know, but you are safe with it because you feel like, that's my family. There's nothing they can do wrong. Because in your mind, we know, or we have been, prone to understand that or to believe that your family can't wrong you, especially your immediate family. They won't wrong you. So you may be a bit vulnerable around them. But the part where the vulnerability then becomes a challenge is your platonic relationships. And I always ask myself, why? So when I was reflecting, I went back to my first relationship, how I was, my mindset, what went wrong, why did we break up? Now, if you're able to be vulnerable and build a solid relationship, it means that even when things are going hard, when things are tough for both of you or for one of you, at least you will have something to hold on to. When you open up and say you're vulnerable, you're letting someone in. They get to know your fears, they get to know your weaknesses, they get to know your strengths. Now, there are so many other things in relationships that people don't want to be vulnerable about. You'd rather just keep all these things inside. This is your partner, however. Remember, what do you want from this relationship? For me, that's the beginning. I just can't bring myself to ask him for anything. Like, never. I mean, I figured life out myself. But here's the thing. As we continued moving on, I started thinking to myself, what am I doing? Like, I find myself struggling with something so seriously. But I'm thinking, you know what? If I had shared it with him, not to share it with him because I want him to do something, but sometimes it's just to listen. No chetikula, and you share with somebody else. Oh my gosh, that's like the best feeling ever, to have somebody that you can actually offload to, and they don't judge you, they will listen to you, they will be candid with you. That's like, my gosh, that's like a rare. If you have it, keep it. So with my partner, I couldn't. And I think he also realized it, and he would say, come on. I mean, you can open up. You can, it's me. But I was not used to that. I was used to working hard. I was used to be the one to help other people. I was used to solving my problems. I mean, I'd get loans if I had to. But for me to come and ask for, no. That's why I would never understand how you go and ask for money for hair, for what. Like, no. I would figure it out. Actually, I would rather call my girlfriend and say, yo, this is what's going on, rather than my partner. And then it hit me. I said, okay, so what do I want with him? If I cannot be this, what do I want from him? What do I want with him? Why am I with him? Because it then hit me, and I had to now reflect on the relationship. What do I want from the relationship? What type of relationship is it for me? Do I take him seriously? And I realized I want to do life with him. I want to do life. Once you make that decision and say, okay, I want to do life with this person, that means that you wear your emotions on your shoulders, on your sleeves, like you will be an open book to the person. When I learned baby steps to open up, not at I learned to beg, give me this, I want this, no. When I learned to be human around him, when I understood that, you know what, he's got my back, he means well. Remember, we talked about safety, a safe place. You don't want to go and open up to someone who's going, I'm not surprised. You don't want to go and open up to someone like that. You know, you go to somebody and you're opening up. You know what happened, by the way? You remember the other guy from the club? Man, shit happened. But how could you? Can you imagine what he's going to think about you? Blah blah blah. Pana, you're going to seal your mouth forever. You're going to change. There is no way you'll want to open up again because of that wrong timing. You chose to be vulnerable, thinking that the person, the space, the time, the people around you were a safe place. And lo and behold, you hit a dead end. And that could easily mess you up. It could change you. But you see, just think of it that you chose the wrong time, the wrong place, the wrong person to talk to. But don't stop. Being vulnerable is like the most beautiful thing. It helps build your relationship in the most amazing way. I'm going to take my sip, but before I do, there's this thing in relationships. I'm sorry, I'm going to bring it up. Where you hear partners saying, I cannot take a number 2 with my partner there. I cannot take a number 2 with my partner in the same bathroom. I cannot in the same place. Or you go and visit your boyfriend and you want to do a number 2 before you leave, but you can't. Because how? He's going to see the color of your intestines. Please. How? Why? What are you doing with him? It's a biological phenomenon. Let me even call it that. It's supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen in whichever flavors and whatever it comes in, but it's supposed to happen. So what are you doing with this person if you cannot be yourself around them? If you cannot be vulnerable around them? Think about it while I sip my drink. So, while you were pondering about how you're going to be yourself, you people, I'm sorry, I'm going back to that topic before I took my sip. Why would you struggle with your intestines, the gas, your stomach is rumbling, you are seated there saying, he cannot see the color of your intestines, surely. If you're planning to do life with this person, that's why I've mentioned this and insisted. If that relationship matters to you, if it means everything to you, if you're intentional about that relationship, if you really want that relationship to work, this word is a very important word that plays a big role in making that relationship work. Being vulnerable. So, being vulnerable in the media. Now, again, like I've said this before, and it's something that my people, our people, my lovely people, you keep forgetting that, let me use this word, even though I hate using it, that celebrities are human beings as well. So for me, there was that part of, I didn't put up a facade, but I kept it to myself. I didn't see any reason to talk to anybody, not even my partner. It was like a hot potato in my mouth, but I had to swallow it. And you swallow it, you say, no, I'm not spitting this camonde out. I shall swallow it. I swallowed it. But until I got to a certain point, because you're in this relationship, and I hadn't realized how intentional I was being. I wanted this relationship. I was doing everything else to make the relationship work, but I wasn't being vulnerable. And that wasn't helping things. So I told you about how I got a loan. I got a loan, it's the worst decision I could ever make. And I didn't have, these things that I digress, skilling. People don't take skilling seriously, especially young people, but it is the most amazing thing that you have. It's a gift. Us guys didn't have people, during our schooling days. You only had maybe a senga, which skilling was totally different, But here, having people who will skill you through finance, through all these things, you are so lucky. Like, take it and just latch on it. Because for me, if I had had someone advise me, I wouldn't have taken that bad decision, a bad loan. I was taught it. The word is a bad loan. But I didn't. I was hell-bent on making this work, so I knew I could do it myself. So that thing that I said, trying to be an island, not seeking help, because you're feeling you can't be vulnerable, they can't know that you don't know, they can't know that you don't understand. Until I had to open up to my partner and say, you know what, this is what's going on. I had kept it to myself. And the only reason I opened up to him actually I think it is maybe the main reason, is because I was being threatened. Okay, not threatened, but you know when someone knows that this person is in the limelight, therefore I can use that against them. So you will come and say things like, if you don't pay up, we're going to put the story in the newspaper. And in my head, I want to tell them, but you go ahead. Does that solve this problem? Should I allow you to put the story and then we cancel this loan, then to be draw? Because we're all human beings. Everyone has this. Even the richest of men has financial situations. But what bothered me the most, okay, other than the fact that it was a banking institution, and I was thinking to myself, now imagine if it wasn't a banking institution, if it was a loan shark or someone, how I probably would have passed out. Like, I don't know what would have happened to me. They probably would have gone and written a story. But you see, because I don't want to be vulnerable to you, our viewers, our listeners, I was trying to protect that. So I didn't want them to do what they wanted to do. Yet I would have said, you know what? I can't sort it out right now. Go ahead and do what you're doing. That's me being vulnerable. But what I said, you know what? Let me find someone to talk to that I can open up, and they give me ideas, advice on how to handle it. It was the best decision I ever made. You people. Naninge akutwa no mugugu nga gwe mugugu gwe mbadde neetise nzunga nago buli wamu nakola bukozi bweninga. The problem wasn't solved. The loan is still being paid. But just sharing it with someone where I felt safe, it was the most beautiful thing ever. I was like, thank you, Lord. Now I can focus on making this right. So you see, if you don't open up, it means, first of all, it's not good for you. You don't get to grow. You don't get to know your weaknesses. You don't get to know those things that, your cracks, and get to fix them. Or you don't get to be normal. Do you know what it's like? To feel normal. You go to the toilet, your stomach is hurting you, your boyfriend is sitting right there, you're releasing gas everywhere, you're not bothered. It is a function that's happening. Someone else would be. You're struggling, you're suffering, but it is because you don't want him to know that you're normal. Can you imagine? You don't want him to know that you're normal? I imagine if it was him, he probably would have just gone and had a blast. He probably walks past you while farting without being bothered. But you're holding on to this. What happens then, it does not allow you. You prevent yourself from living your fullest life because you don't get to discover. You don't get to grow. You don't get to learn from all those weaknesses, those things that you've always kept, you know. But I reflected over it for a while. And that's when I woke up and I said, you people have been bullying us all along. Nafe tuli bantu. What you go through, I can go through. Break up, me too. Financial problem, even in me. Sickness, what? Even in me. I am as normal as you are. So I just then decided and said no. For me to attain my full potential in my relationship, I've got to be vulnerable. I've got to let him know how I'm feeling. I've got to let him know what he did was wrong. I'm going to say, Han, you know what? And again, this is a conversation we can't finish right now because my time is running out. But it's a conversation I want us to continue. So send questions, send what you would want to know. Let's share. Because I feel like everyone's relationship, the relationship that you're in, if you really want that relationship, you can make it work. That relationship can work. It can flourish. It can bloom. Like, you won't believe it because, trust me, I'm living my best life, by the way. I don't know about you. Me, what I want to say, I will say. If I want to start dancing and be goofy, I will be. If I try my level best to show myself. Because what is life all about? If you're going to leave it, just shielded. Because you don't want to be seen in a different way. Apana, be vulnerable, people. It's not a weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. And if you're in a relationship, get in touch with me. I'm telling you. I have reflected and I want to share with you. So share with me, get onto our social media platforms and follow us, subscribe, comment, ask the questions, ask if there's a subject you want us to reflect upon. Please remember, I'm not doing this alone, yeah? You know I can't do it alone, I'm doing it with you. So until the next reflection, that's next week, I want you to take good care of yourselves and I shan't stop saying it. Please, let's take care of our environment. Let's try and say no to Kavera. Let's reduce the number of Kaveras that go out into the environment, and let's try and plant trees whenever we can. It's your life, it's our environment. Let's take care of it like our forefathers did. They handed it down to us, having taken care of it. Let's hand it to the next generation, having taken care of it. God bless you.